Hello YouTube, off on another little walkabout, trying to inject a little culture into this one. So, let's go. This is Cleopatra's Needle, and it's easily the oldest thing, apart from the rocks, in New York. This obelisk was erected first at Heliopolis in Egypt in 1600 BC. It was moved to Alexandria in 12 BC by the Romans, and then presented by the Caliph of Egypt to the city of New York as a gift. It was erected here on February 22nd, 1881, apparently through the generosity of William H. Vanderbilt. So today's walk, I'm going to try and get in a little culture and history. And in between my stops today is not too much of any interest. Whatever there is, I'll show. So, yeah, back to it. Last look. So this obelisk is located behind the Museum of Modern Art on Fifth Avenue at about 80th Street. Moving on. I actually started walking in the wrong direction, but I'll correct that in a minute. It doesn't matter because it's a really nice day out here. So for Mrs. B, who made the specific request, the temperature here today in New York City in Central Park is 51 degrees, which is equivalent to 11 degrees in your centigrated Celsius measurements that you like. That's the same. So a minute ago they were filming something in here, which accounts for why it's actually empty. But I feel like a lot of people come here, they see Bethesda Fountain, which is, trust me, it's through there, and they miss this, which is quite impressive. And a lot of the people that do come through here don't look up. Normally there's musicians and stuff playing music in here. But all anybody really cares about is the star of the show, which is, of course, the fountain. So that was Bethesda Fountain, and now I've got to walk 20 minutes or so to the next spot, so I'll see you then. Okay, so for the sake of Mrs. B, because I like to keep her informed, the temperature in New York City right now is 53 degrees, which is 12 degrees centigrade. Or Celsius. Which do you prefer? Which one do you really use? I reckon Celsius is easier, but what do I know? Anyway, back to the walking. So we're coming up on our next side of the day, but I'd never walked down this block before, which means I'd never seen these colorful, what do you call them, townhouses. Got off the bus on Fifth Avenue, walked through Central Park, and covered about a little over 2 miles so far. But yeah. The reason I walked all the way over here should be just around the corner.
I've been great.
So this is 79th and Broadway, and I have eyes on the prize. So as soon as this light changes, okay, my British audience will know better of the artist, the street artist known as Banksy. And over the years, he has come to New York and embellished our fair streets a couple of times. This is one of the few you can actually see out in the wild, as it were. So this is the first time I'm actually seeing this one. And it's all of a piece. It's behind a plexiglass shield, as you can see. Pretty cool. Coming up now on the second, is it the second? Well, another historical part of the walk. And being as it's February, we'll keep it Black History. And so this whole plaza, which is basically actually a roundabout at, what is that, 110th and Frederick Douglass Boulevard, is to actually honor the man, Frederick Douglass, who was an escaped slave turned abolitionist, writer, speaker, man had the ear of Abraham Lincoln, and spoke out against slavery, which I imagine he knew a few things about, having escaped himself. So, Frederick Douglass. Okay, so in case Mrs. B was wondering, it's now 55 degrees in New York City and 13 degrees Celsius, centigrade. Okay, so next on our Harlem cultural history stops is the memorial to Miss Harriet Tubman, who, if you don't know, was an escaped slave who had such will and determination to be free that she didn't just make it to safety herself. She went back and rescued possibly hundreds more slaves, brought them to freedom along the Underground Railway, which was the network of escape routes and hiding places for escaped slaves. So this is the Harriet Tubman Memorial. This is at the intersection of 122nd, Frederick Douglass Boulevard, and St. Nicholas. Harriet Tubman. This mosaic by Louis Dosart was commissioned in 2005. It's at the corner of, where are we? Frederick Douglass Boulevard and 125th Street. And it's pretty cool. I've always liked it. But on to the next. And this is in fact the next stop, the world famous Apollo Theater. I didn't even know Jerry Butler passed away. Great artist. And of course Roberta Flack. A little taste of 125th in its natural state.
When you come to the table, I'll show you the one which one you pick. That's all I can do. Yeah, I like. Yo, listen, just come to the table.
As we head on to our next object of interest.
Wow.
A lot of people out here today. It's a nice day. Sign I've never seen before. Apparently Nelson Mandela, after he was freed from prison, was given a statesman's welcome on June 12, 1990 at this site by the people of Harlem. Nelson Mandela, famously a long-time victim of the apartheid system in South Africa, was kept in political captivity on Robben Island, I believe it was, in South Africa. After his freedom, went on to become President of South Africa. Very poetic and just. Okay, so directly ahead of us is a statue of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Okay, so that was Adam Clayton Powell Jr. in front of the Adam Clayton Powell State Building, State Office Building. And as we continue on to the brownstone-lined 126th Street, heading for our, I believe, second to last destination. Now heading on to the second to last location. And I think this one's a good one. A person who was a pivotal part of the Harlem Renaissance. The poet Langston Hughes used to live on the next block. So that's where we're going. So like I said, 127th between 5th and Madison. Langston Hughes Place. Okay, for anyone that's bothered, it's 56 degrees Fahrenheit in New York City right now, which is 14 degrees Celsius. And so far, 6.29 miles walked. So that's not bad for a day. A little bit more to go. And then I'm going home. So I took a little break from filming there because slightly dodgy area, and you have to be aware of your surroundings, just like in any big city. So since I don't want to lose my stuff, I don't display my stuff. Anyway, on to our last stop. My last stop, but yours vicariously, at least. And it is another art piece, street art piece. So where we're headed to now is called the Crack is Wack Playground, and so named because of this mural, which was done on this handball court wall by the artist Keith Haring, who I actually met in the early 80s, and he actually passed away not long after that. And when you see his work, you'll recognize it. It's very distinctive, very individual, specifically to him. It's been imitated a lot, but nothing quite captures the original. Now, there's very few pieces left that you can actually access easily out in the wild, as it were, and this just happens to be one of them. This is the Crack is Wack mural. Oh yeah, it's at 2nd Avenue and just slightly north of 127th. So, crossing 127th now. Because of the angle I'm approaching it at, which is kind of an oblique angle, for a horrible second there I thought it was gone. But it's not, so. Okay, actually it's at 128th and 2nd Avenue. Let's get a good close look at it. So yeah, Keith Haring did this two-sided mural. We'll do it one side at a time. Probably in the dead of night, and probably all at once. In 1986. It has been restored because morons keep coming through and tagging it up and desecrating it. But this is pretty much how it looked when it was new. And then on the obverse side, so he was very famous for these sort of stick figures. So you have to remember, in the early 80s, New York had a crack epidemic. Worse than this fentanyl outbreak. I mean, it was really bad. And this was Keith Haring's way of telling people it's just not worth it. And in case you didn't realize, I kind of love this mural. So let's go back one more time. Ironically, as far as I've ever been aware, the only people that actually use this park are winos and druggies. So kind of ironic, but yes, this is the Crack is Wack mural. So this was done in 1986, so it's actually not long before Keith Haring actually passed away. Himself a victim of the AIDS epidemic. And this is going to be the end of today's walk. So let's see, what have we done? 7.56 miles. And we've seen a few interesting things, I think. I hope you think so. And I hope you'll come along on my next walk.